I don't know where you want to go with that.
Okay, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I'm your man in the, I guess I'm on the right side of your screen today, maybe on your left side of the screen, but I'm the man in the blue, and this is your man in the red, Patrick Henry and Spags. And over here in the chair, man in the chair, is our dude Kyle. Nowhere Homesteady. Kyle, say hi to everybody.
What's up, folks? How you doing?
We don't know if you guys can hear us. We're trying like some new microphone setups. We're doing like an omnidirectional thing. We're working out the bugs, all the fun things that you do whenever you're setting up a studio. But we're grateful. Thank you. So thanks for joining us. If you guys are here, if you're not, shame on you. But we're working into, I guess, a recap on the Spring Festival.
Yes.
We have a slew of topics to cover with you guys. Spags, you want to tell us what we're going to go over today?
Sure. We're going to start out with
the Spring Festival.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
and the dogs. Everyone's talking. Yeah, we're going to go over what happened this spring. We're going to recap, all the different things that took place during the Spring Festival for 2024. And then we're going to go into some other segments where we're going to talk about various things, and we're just going to roll with it and see how it goes for everybody.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So I guess let's start with, if you guys don't mind, let's go over like just a kind of a general recap of the festival and kind of like how your perspective, what you felt, and we'll just do like the good and the bad.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, you want to lead off? What was good about the festival, this past Spring Festival, in your opinion?
Oh man, there is so much to talk about. Probably the best part of this last Spring Festival for us was the rejuvenating effect that it seemed to have on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We heard from hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people, including some of the vendors, some of the speakers, some of the promoters, some of the sponsors, that every time they do events like this, where there's just high intensity, lots of things happening, lots of walking, lots of outdoor exposure, that by the end of the weekend that they're completely wiped out, that they're completely tired. And we heard that this event specifically was the opposite, that while everybody was tired, at the end of Saturday evening, everybody actually felt rejuvenated. They felt renewed. They felt happy. They were in a good place. And whether that was because, emotionally or spiritually or just physically, there seemed to be a much higher presence of happiness and not nearly as much stress as there normally is putting on an event like this for both us as the promoters and everybody who seemed to attend.
Yeah, no, I think I'd echo that. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone I spoke to pretty much said the same sentiment.
Yes.
That this was, in a strange way, because a lot of these people aren't really religious in the sense of, they
Right.
subscribe to a specific, I guess, religious sect or whatever, but in the sense of spirituality, they felt renewed.
Yeah.
Like this re-energized them.
Yeah.
And time after time, I heard so many people say, generally after an event like this, I'm drained. I'm just exhausted. The sun's beat me down. I'm tired. I don't want to go home and, unpack all this crap. A lot of the people I talked to, much like you, said, I don't want to go home.
Yeah, they wanted to stay. There's a weird sense of family and community that is coming out of this thing in a way that, those words are buzzwords right now. Everybody is using that word right now. Community. You hear it a million times now. It's become the new prepper word, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like what happened at Midwest wasn't just a buzzword. It wasn't just us trying to, be relevant in the moment. It was real. It was tangible, and you could feel it. That it was just, there was just so much inner peace at the end of it and relaxation. It was like a vacation.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, for me, the feedback that I got was that everybody, not only was it rejuvenating, everybody wanted to contribute. Like there was more people that came up to me that were just expressing, I get it now, I understand, I want to, how do I participate? What can I do? How can I be involved? Wanting to just be engaged in general. And I think the reality of it is a rising tide raises all ships, and it's there's something to be said for the fact that our logo is a boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the tide. This is the tide that raises the ship, the Midwest Preparedness Project. And for everyone that showed up and for everyone that came out and got to participate, I'm glad that you were there. I'm glad I got to meet you, and thank you for your participation and showing up, being present, being there. That ultimately, this is that's largely what it was. It was kind of it was just a big deal.
We know it was a busy weekend for people. It was graduation weekend for a lot of schools. It was the beginning of summer for a lot of families. And, the fact that you guys took the time to come out and hang out with us, even if it was just for Thursday or just for Friday, Saturday, or just for even Saturday, whatever it was, something about this event is pulling people towards it, where folks are willing to make it part of their daily calendar. They're making it part of their family schedule of events. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So, Bobby, what was our official head count? I know that we did several measurements and several ways of trying to capture that data. And obviously, you're always going to go with a plus minus. But what was your official head count?
The official count for this event was 406 people.
Ooh!
Last fall, we were at 287, which was the official count. This time, it was 406, which did not count staff and vendors.
Yeah.
Normally, we count staff and vendors. This time, we decided not to count staff and vendors, and we had 406 people attend this last event.
That's not bad. That's not bad. It could always be better. We're talking about a campsite that has a max capacity of 500 people. We got close. I think we could do better.
Yes, I think so too.
In the grand scheme of things, it's so funny. The last place we were at was Perry. We were at the G2 campsite at Perry Lake.
Right.
And it's so interesting. We blew that campsite out of the water last year and with the camp out that Bobby's talking about. Yeah. And it's so funny. So many people in the sense of the follow-up and after actions were like, and like Kyle said, our logo, we're going to need a bigger boat. And so we found a bigger campground, and oh my gosh, guys, if this keeps up, you guys keep showing up, you keep participating, like getting out of your house, getting out of your comfort zone. I really am an introvert.
Yeah,
I really am. As much as it pains me to say that, most people don't realize that I truly am an introvert, and getting out and participating in a public, arena where there's so many people that are drawing your emotional energy, your emotional capital, it can be taxing, in those environments. And especially for anybody out there that knows what I'm talking about, in the terms of those coins that you give away emotionally or mentally in those environments, it can be devastating in terms of the length of time it takes to rejuvenate that. But with this event, I feel spiritually renewed. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I was so emotional after the camp out because I felt like we were in such a great place, and so many people had came to us and told us, thank you guys. I think the greatest compliment I'd been paid previously, like Bobby alluded to, was that someone had told us this was like a family reunion that they'd never been to. Yeah. And so this time I heard the new greatest compliment I think I've ever been paid, or we've ever been paid, is I was talking with Andrew Carroll, and we're up by the festival area, by the trash cans, kind of on the hill where a bunch of people were sitting in the shade, Right. And I'll never forget this. This almost broke me in the moment. And Andrew says to me, Andrew, if you're out there, thank you, dude.
The new grassy knoll?
Yeah, the new grassy knoll.
Yes.
Andrew says to me, I cannot wait till the point in my life where my kids are bringing their kids back to this event. Yeah. That is powerful, so powerful. That, I think, is honestly a true testimony to what Kyle and like what Bobby were talking about earlier, about there's something going on that you should be a part.
Yeah, it's beyond us at this point. It is maybe events like this is what the rebranding and the rebuilding of America will be, because let's face it, we're in some very strange times right now. We're in some pretty perilous times.
Yep.
And I'm not going to get into what that means or what is causing that, but we can all admit that at this particular time, finding commonality with people is harder than ever. Finding a group of people that you can just let your guard down and be relaxed around is becoming harder. I can't imagine what it's like to be 20 years old in today's world and not having had the experience that us old guys have to prepare us for the way the world is. But the world might start to shift back in the other direction. There's always this pendulum effect of how societies ebb and flow. And I think that what we're doing is part of that revitalization of society back towards a strong sense of, community, a strong sense of family, a strong sense of family-centric children and wives and husbands all being involved in the same thing at the same time. Yeah. Not husband going over here to play, bowling league with his buddies and gal going over to her book club and the kids getting shipped off to summer camp. This is the kind of event where all of you can come.
It's inclusive.
And everybody gets something to do. It is for the family.
And there's hope in that. There's genuine, true hope in that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think honestly, in this day and age, like you said, this is a very perilous time, and I think that's something that I know personally. I can't speak for either one of you guys or anybody that's out there watching right now, but for me personally, that's something I need.
Yeah.
I need hope. I need faith because it is a strange time to be alive. I tell myself, I tell my friends, I tell people all the time, it's an interesting time to be alive, but honestly, it's scary as hell.
Yeah.
But I think that's why we all came away from MPP so rejuvenated.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's why we came away from the festival so rejuvenated. It's because we had that hope. There was a hope at the end of it. We're all very diverse. We're all very different. But it was an opportunity for everybody to gather up and be ourselves and collectively chase something common.
Yeah.
Just being in each other's presence.
For me, Kyle, in that moment on the follow up to that is that for me, I think part of the reason why I was so emotional after the camp out, I just had to go to my camper and decompress for a couple of moments. But for me, it really did solidify in my mind that I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not in this by myself. I'm not fighting this fight. I have some brothers and sisters around me, that I really do depend on. I really do love and care about, because in this life, we really don't get to choose the family that we're born with, but we do get to choose the family that we live and die with.
Right.
It's funny. I have these conversations with people all the time. People are like, "Oh, blood's thicker than water. Blood's thicker than water." It's not, because truth be told, my wife doesn't have a drop of my blood in her, but she's more family to me than some of my own flesh and blood family. So I think in developing this tribe, in this clan that we're doing in the Midwest Preparedness Project, I think that is altruistic in the fact that I myself need this to be whole and to complete. So it's a crazy time.
It's tiring, it's exhausting, but it is absolutely worth every bit of energy that the crew puts in. And speaking of the crew, we've had some of the same folks at the helm for a while now. You, myself, Christy, Kyle, and Todd have all been chipping in.
Yep.
Chief's been chipping in, doing some of this work. But this particular time, we had the largest crew that just materialized out of nowhere, just organically. What can I do to help? And we had people helping us run traffic control points, checking people in, giving out wrist bracelets, doing security patrols at night. And I'm not going to lie, I couldn't possibly even remember every single person that helped. But at the end of the day, I think on Saturday, we had a moment where I tried to call everybody up on stage, and there was, good Lord, at least 20, 22 people.
We could barely fit them all up there.
We couldn't get them all on the stage who actually helped to facilitate the logistics of putting on an event like this. I see Matt in the comments. Him and his boy came out and they helped. They ran traffic
boys,
control.
yeah.
They helped with putting up the tent, tearing down the tent.
His daughter too, yeah.
Yeah, his daughter. I mean, we're a small event that's growing, and we don't have the ability to just pay everybody for their labor. But man, thank you to everybody who showed up. Thank you to Julie Dogmom for getting sunstroke out on that traffic control point. Thank you to Matt, your kids. Thank you to Jamie and Tamara. And I know that I won't remember everybody's name. Good Lord, it would be a nightmare to try to do that. But maybe we'll do something on one of the events here soon where we put everybody up and put a name in who did what.
That's one of those people you were talking about, though, that he was dual attending his son's Wyatt's, actually both his boys, his twin boys' graduation, and coming to the festival at the same time. So kudos to you, Matt. You rock, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the classes.
Yeah.
So we did some different things this time around. We tend to do 3 events Saturday, 3 events on Friday, because we don't like our festival to be event heavy. Because the minute you do that, then you take away, I think, that magic element of the kids being able to play around campfires and play around the campground, and all people actually getting to fellowship with each other and talk to each other. But this time around, we did 2 different things. We did our first live from the stage, which has never been done before, and Tag and B did a live from the stage where they brought different people up who have been instrumental in the community of Midwest Preparedness Project, I guess is how you put it.
Yeah.
He brought us all up there and talked about the history of the event, and that was cool. And we also We did another special event with Lindsay Brandon from Permaculture Canada.
Yep.
And then we had, some people come in from out of state. We had Dawn Gorman come and give a class on
Gorham.
Gorham. God,
Gorham.
I get that wrong every time, and she gives me so much crap every time.
I remember her name like Jeff Dunham.
Right, so Dawn Gorham
Yes.
came out and did a ladies presentation on the female side of preparedness.
Women's preparedness beyond beans and bullets.
Beyond beans and bullets. And then our friend Nicole Sauce, who's been a lifetime friend of this event.
Yep.
Part
of the preparedness tour.
And did her presentation, and I know those were highly received. People seem to enjoy those classes a lot.
They rocked it.
Todd and Michael Stouse, who are both staff and sponsors of the event, took some time to give a natural beekeeping class.
Very well received class.
Very well received. And then Fire Defensive Skills came out again and did the women's self-defense class. And that got pretty big again. So
it did.
What did you notice, Kyle, about the classes? Anything that stood out to you?
I mean, they were all very solid, frankly. I liked the fact that we had a stronger female presence on stage, that we had more than just spirited dudes up there talking about beans and bullets in the male side of property. It was more well-rounded and more family oriented, I think, which was solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome. What about you, Pat? What did you think was the highlight of all the presentations?
Honestly, for me, the presentations are always great. I mean, don't get me wrong. All of our speakers, all of the people that participate and give up themselves, willingly, tirelessly, of their own free will. And we beg, plead, and borrow to get people to come because we have our budgets like this, and we appreciate all of them. But for me, the highlights weren't so much the adult classes; it was the kids.
Yeah.
So there was, oh my gosh, probably 50 plus kids in attendance, doing stuff at Christie's Kids Corner. And the food challenges and the fire challenges and they were even participating in the self-defense class.
They were.
For me, it's our future is in our children. Us old heads, we're on our way out. We're halfway over the hill or whatever, in most regards, and it's our kids that are going to lead the way. And to see 50 plus kids out at a preparedness festival, all running around, starting fires and taking self-defense classes. That to me is the magic. That was one of the coolest elements for me.
It was definitely cool seeing Christy incorporate the giveaway events for the children from the main stage and actually thrusting the children front and center and making that kind of a showcase for the family element of what we do. Yeah,
that video will be posted out there shortly for you guys. We have a lot of that. And by the way, Pat Wiley is in the comments. Pat, we missed you. Please don't abandon us. But if you do, we understand. I understand you couldn't make it. You are also, I think you were enjoying yourself in Arizona or somewhere warm at the time, doing stuff with your daughter. So I don't blame you.
Yep. All right. Well, that kind of covers what happened at the event. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to, let's see, what's next? Why don't we go to Kyle's Corner? That's going to become a permanent segment. And Kyle is going to talk about processes and things that he's done and learned on his homestead that can actually give people a bite of information that's useful. So Kyle, take it away.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I can jump right in.
Can I give you an introduction?
Absolutely.
Let me give you guys a good introduction for Kyle. So just in case you guys don't know, Kyle has a homestead, like a functional, like true, like he's doing it. He's living the life. So Kyle, hey, Scans girl, how you doing, babe?
What's up, girl?
So Kyle has a functional farm. He has chickens, he has sheep, he has like fruit trees, he has gardens, and he's taking care of his parents.
Yes.
Like his in-laws, like his aging in-laws all at the same time. So he has a very unique dynamic that I think all of us at some point in time are either going to be faced with in the preparedness cycle, or at some point in time, or it's going to have it thrust upon us.
Yeah.
But so just so you guys know, he's with Nowhere Homesteady, and he's our dude in the chair. So please, Kyle, take it away.
Sure. So Nowhere Homesteady is a small channel. If y'all want to check it out, we'd love to have you. It's growing, and we post videos as we can. But there's only so many interesting things that we do on the farms. It's far more organic and natural. Kind of comes as we think about things that are interesting and valuable to anybody that shows up. But we also make our own. Bullet Balm. It's a leather conditioner, a hand and skin kind of protection. It'll keep the ticks off of you. It'll keep the sunburn away and all that stuff. So If you'd love to check some of that out, that's available too from our website. We talk about it all the time.
You'll also polish the chrome on your Harley.
Yes, it will.
Where else can people get more?
And an abrasive pole at the Midwest Preparedness Project, and also at My Honey's Kitchen in Missouri.
Gallatin, Missouri.
Yeah, Gallatin, Missouri. My Honey's Kitchen. She makes some of the finest freeze-dried foods in the world. I think
Spices.
She calls me her biggest fan. In fact, we've done a couple of videos together with her, and I believe that she's going to be releasing those soon with an interview that I did with her, talking about the stuff that we did.
Nice.
But yeah, so systems and processes. So you have to adapt to what works, I guess, is where I would start.
Mm-hmm.
I am a large guy, strong in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways just big and fluffy. And the consequence of that is that life hurts sometimes. There's a lot of things that we've had to change on our property. I think with the way we do things, it might be different from other folks.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't born into this life. I was born into the city, and so coming out to homestead and farm life was something I had to adapt to, find the grit in myself, and adapt to, figure out how to do it. But just a simple example, one of the things that we did as kind of a system to be more efficient and take the physical stress away was, when we first got sheep, we had support of the community that came out and helped build our shelter. And then, we still didn't have a solid water solution worked out. And honestly, we're still kind of in the middle of that. But what we were doing was running a water hose, like 200 feet of water hose off the house. And when in the wintertime, when that would freeze, we'd have to carry buckets of water, 5-gallon buckets of water. And
you learned a brutal lesson, didn't you?
Yes. I mean, you realize our sheep go through anywhere from 20 to 50 gallons of water a day.
Could you imagine humping that during non-austere times?
We did. 10, 15 buckets at a time.
Uh-huh.
And that wears on you really darn quick, especially in deep winter when it's snowing, and you got to keep the water hot in the 200 yards to the paddocks and everything else.
These critters depend on you.
They absolutely do. So with that, you have to find ways to build efficiency. And what we did was we set up a short section of heated water hose off of our main outlet, and then ran the rest of it as just a normal water hose, but it goes into a water trough, which was just a cheap aluminum tin tube that we bought off of an auction.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't even pay full price, and it was rusted solid. So I had to flex seal the whole thing in order to keep water in it. And then we used what's called a Joey float, which is it basically will automatically shut off when the water reaches a certain level. And but when the animals drink it down, it'll of course raise the level back up automatically.
Yeah.
So we were able to go all winter with that without having to hump buckets of water out to the paddock.
So you found ways of automation
yes.
saved you manual physical labor.
Exactly. It saved time, it saved labor, it saved wear and tear on our bodies.
Yep.
And even though I work from home, which I'm near my animals all day long, and I get to see my animals all day long because I'm fortunate to have that opportunity. That automation and efficiency is critical. And I mean, if I could encourage everybody to do one thing, it's look at the way you do things and constantly be evaluating where you can find opportunities for efficiency.
Yeah, especially when you're I would imagine when like your situation, you're juggling multiple types of animals. You don't just have one critter that you're trying to like co-mingle on the same paddock.
Exactly.
And then you have birthing issues where they have babies and you're trying to keep them separated and like all of those interesting dynamics at the same time.
Yeah. And then you couple that with being hit. Like the Rams hit me 8 times last year, and I'm still walking funny because
I've seen some of those horrible videos where like some poor grandma in China is like walking through a paddock, like carrying water, and she just gets nailed right in the back, and you're like, oh yeah, that just broke her back.
If you got to look at it at its lowest level. So going back to the feed you were talking about, right? So with the feed, you can find efficiencies there too. So depending on the type of animals that you have, you can use the same kind of feed. So we use the exact same feed that we use for our chickens. We feed to our sheep, And there's certain ingredients that we leave out of it, like the copper and other things that you might find in just straight corn, ground corn, like you would give to pigs. But you can combine different ingredients or have a grain mill mix up certain things. So you don't necessarily have to only feed to chickens or sheep feed to sheep. You can figure out what efficiencies you have are necessary for what you're trying to raise and what you're trying to do on your homestead, and then bake those into your process. So we don't go to the store and buy feed by the bag anymore. We get it at 1,200 pounds, which is basically a truckload from a grain mill, and then we transfer it into blue barrels, and that's what we feed our animals out of, all of them. And when I say that, realize we have 10 sheep right now, down from 15, and we have over 100 chickens.
Woo! That is quite the flock. Get the flock out of here.
KFC is going out of business now.
So just so you guys know, KFC stands for Kansas Fried Chicken.
Yes.
Just so you guys know. And that's at Kyle's house next Saturday. We're doing a bar mitzvah. Anyways, no, you're not invited.
No, this is important though, as far as learning processes, because consider what it would be in a grid down situation. Let's take this back to prepping for a minute.
Yep.
Not just homesteading, but prepping.
Yeah.
Situation A, B, or C. Don't care. Pick one. Godzilla, aliens, interdimensional, tapeworms. I really don't care which one you're prepping for.
Can we go with the Bruce Willis asteroid?
Yeah, we'll go with Bruce Willis asteroid that has tapeworms in it. So
okay.
It's coming to Earth. Something's happening. Your electricity goes out, and now you have to figure out what to do. Calories count. Mm-hmm. Calories absolutely count, and every decision in life is an economic decision, and that includes your calories when you don't have as much food, when you don't have as much water, when you don't have climate control, when everything becomes harder and everything takes extra calories. Doing things that require fewer or no calories at all to improve your systems absolutely will become a lifesaver.
And as our friend Tag, who Lifetime Free would say, everything is a management decision too.
Sure.
So it's an economic decision because you have to figure out how you're going to balance calorie output in order to accomplish what you need to. But you also have to find new ways to manage things as well.
Right.
Yeah, we have a lot of friends like Kyle that have working functional farms. Tag's, like he'd mentioned, Tag's got a bunch of critters. He's got cows and all those good things too. Matt, has got a bunch of cows and critters. Gene Hutchison's got a nice working farm. A bunch of our friends, Spags has got like one of the weirdest farms you'll ever see. But it's also one of the coolest farms because his ducks walk around with switchblades. It's the weirdest thing. I've never seen it.
Ducks.
I have combat geese.
He does. He has combat geese, and his ducks walk around. They're like
pulling out switchblades. Hey, look! You want to buy a watch? See?
Yeah.
Look at the watch. See?
This is not your territory.
Yep. So yeah, calories count. So yeah, finding those processes to cut down on the amount of work you have to do when you might be taking in less helps to preserve energy for other things that you might have to do in that world as well.
Yeah. Ultimately, at the end of the day, like you said, every decision in life is a
economic decision.
And those forms of currency, they're not necessarily cash. They're not necessarily energy capital. They can be there's all different types of capital in life when you're making those economic decisions.
Yep.
Spags Unfiltered says that, by the way, just in case you guys don't know.
Yeah. That guy's weird. He smells funny. I hear he smells like oregano and paprika. The Italian in him.
But he's like one of the best MCs you'll ever meet.
Absolutely.
He's a good dude.
Oh gosh.
He's a good dude. And so, anyways, where are we in today's segment? So we're in the tail end of Kyle's Corner.
Sure.
So we've discussed processes on the homestead. We've talked about some of the automation stuff that's made your life easier.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the integration of your in-laws, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah.
And trying to filter that into the process, because not only are you managing your professional life at home, you're managing your homestead life, but you're also taking care. And this is something, Kyle, my hat is off to you, brother, because if at some point in time I'm going to find myself there, we all are. We're going to be taking care of our in-laws, our ex-laws, our outlaws. All those laws. Kyle's doing that. So how is that working out for you?
Well, I'll start with just to touch on the history of this. So culturally speaking, before World War II, it was very common for multiple generations to be living in the same place, the same land, and sharing resources and living efficiently in that way. After World War II, everything kind of went to single family homes. Everybody split. Kids went different directions and that sort of thing. We've been very intentional about getting my wife's parents, getting IOS parents on property with us, and it's something that I wanted for 5 or 6 years, and they finally said yes. Part of that was because we were finally settled in a place for long enough, and they realized, okay, we really mean it. We're not leaving.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah.
moving again.
Yeah.
It's hard to join families. It's hard to join incomes, and it becomes a tremendous. There has to be agreement on all sides that, like, look, it's going to take a killdozer or a court order to leave your property.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be willing to go in with you.
Yeah.
For them, they were at kind of a stage in life where things happened, and they went down hard from a major medical issue and decided that where they were was not sustainable to stay by themselves anymore. So we made the decision, encouraged them to make the decision, and they ultimately made it, that it made sense to try and move on property.
Yeah.
And so we started a 3-phase plan last year, building a shop, putting a shop in, which you can watch our videos on that too. We had a shop built last May in 2023, and that became my father-in-law's workshop.
Yeah.
Not a perfect replacement for his barn down where he was, but it's as good as we could make it. And it suits his needs, I think. And then, the second phase was kind of rehoming the chickens and getting them into a bigger space. So we've got a 16 by 20 foot building that'll house up to like 150 to 200 birds.
Because he has 100 of them,
We have 100 of them.
Because he's not getting the flock out of here.
No, we're not getting the plug out of here. We're staying.
Yeah.
But the third phase was, of course, building the cabin for my in-laws. So we carved out a place on the property that made sense for them. And the building is now purchased. We're in the middle of laying the groundwork for that. The pad's done. Water and septic are getting done. Pylons and everything all the pre-work, the foundational, the important stuff for putting in a cabin. We're in the middle of that right now, and we will, they'll be moving on property with us very soon. Moving out to their cabin very soon. Right. But that has been a journey, and it's been a blessing. We love having them on property. But like I said, I think for you have to be intentional about it. You have to recognize that everybody's going to have disagreements and personal ways of doing things.
Yeah.
You're going to have to figure out how to blend those efforts.
Tempers.
Yeah. And it's all about compromise. When any group of people come together, it's about compromise and figuring out what do we need to accomplish and what is the most effective way to get there.
Yeah.
And how can we do it so that we're all together in the end?
Yeah. I am, my hat's off to you, because I wish I were in the position when you were alive to do what you did with your parents. For my grandparents and soon my parents, will be in that position. But my grandma, God rest her soul, she was born during the Dust Bowl. They were typical people during the time. They moved out from Oklahoma to California. Their parents did at the time. They were kids, they moved back, and she told stories about how, like what you're doing, she called it doubling down.
Yeah.
Families at the time, they doubled down.
They did.
And they would move in with each other. And so crazy grandma would just live on the sofa, and she just wet herself and talked and mumbled in the corner. And that's just what she did. We fed her porridge at night, and she just did her thing. And everybody put up with her until she passed away. That was just how people lived back then.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another aspect to this too that I don't think a lot of people think about and talk about, but that's the financial side of it.
Ooh.
And where I'm going with this specifically is on who owns the land.
Oh yeah.
Sovereignty matters, and everybody has to have their own space and their own place that is theirs, that nobody else can tell them what to do with.
Yeah.
And so when we carved out the space for the cabin, that we were very intentional about that. This is your space. This is not our space. We may take it over, turn it into an Airbnb or a rental, or turn it into a shop or whatever. When those times
when
come,
you inherit them.
But in the short term, that's your space. So it's important to carve out that space. And the way you do that legally, for starters, is to put the land in a trust as soon as possible. That way, if whoever the primary is on the property, God forbid if I pass away and there's an issue there, Laura would inherit the property or whatever, but because of Kansas law, we can do transfer on death kind of thing, but her parents would be stuck.
Yeah.
If something happened. If on the other side, they owned the property and they passed away and we couldn't do a transfer on death, like it introduces a lot of legal issues. But if there's a family trust, if there's a trust on that property and everybody has a stake in that trust, nobody can take it away.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
sure. And ownership breeds responsibility.
Exactly.
And when everyone has
And
some skin in the game,
Yeah.
you're right. There's a commitment. Everybody has some skin in the game. So it's not just one guy doing all the weed eating and mowing
Right.
and all the watering. Everyone's like, I have vested interest in this.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to pour myself into it as though it were my own because, well, it is my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sovereignty matters.
And
It
that goes
absolutely
back to what we were talking about earlier about maybe the pendulum is starting to swing back to that more familial mentality with society. Because you're right, post-nuclear family, post-nuclear society of the 50s, all of a sudden we went from an agrarian society to an urban society. And one kid goes over here to California to go to school to be X, and this kid goes to New York to go to school to be this. And then they settle down because they meet people there. And then they have those families on the other sides of the country. And now there's that wrestle of who goes to where for what holidays, how often do we get to travel, is travel feasible with a newborn, all that stuff.
Yep.
When you start building dynasties, when you start building actual dynasties and legacies on properties where the family matters and the family is at the center and the core of what you do, you will see a rebirth of a more healthy society. And of course, it's not a magic bullet. Not everything goes away, but you're going to get more, I think, more cohesiveness and more ownership in societies versus this weird job / college / industrial corporate world that we tend to live in now.
I agree. I agree 1,000%. And I think that's part of the reason why, at the Midwest Preparedness Project, we try our best to incorporate faith, family, and fellowship in our activities and in the mindset of why we do what we do.
Yeah.
When we structure things, when we set up the events, when we go through the dynamics of all of the building, the festival, and what goes into that, we try to keep that at the core because at the end of the day, like we mentioned before and earlier, the children are the future. Our children are our future, and being able to present this in a manner that gives them the opportunity to not only just flourish in this environment, but then to normalize it and say, starting fires and going camping and hanging out with your family, like that's something we just did. Like that was like ingrained in our DNA, and people don't do that anymore.
There were new kids that showed up to this festival this year that became best friends.
Oh, that was so amazing.
Yeah.
Your daughter came away with some new best friends.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And they didn't want to leave. They were in tears when
They were.
She's never met another kid at that thing that wasn't her instant best friend.
Oh, yeah.
And that was so cool to see, watching the kids just organically grow into this little pack of wolves.
It was a tribe
running
of
around.
children.
It was.
It was like the lost
Absolutely was.
children of the festival. I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah. I don't know that we should be giving them sharp objects because, man, they could probably take over the festival.
I think at one point in time, someone threw a chicken leg out on the ground and they like rolled over on top of it. And it there was a dust scene and then there was bones and they moved onto the playground.
Yep.
It was
Wait a
pretty
minute.
wild.
Kyle, is one of your chickens missing a leg?
Yeah.
We didn't talk about him.
we called her Stumpy.
Yes, it's Stumpy.
Her name's Peggy.
In and Stumpy.
Yeah. And Stumpy. Yeah.
Well, to close this out, why don't we talk about what we have potentially happening in the fall?
Ooh, so we have some fun stuff.
Yes.
I know Spags has been working his tail off. You can see it right now. It's like literally it's flat. He's growing it back like Deadpool. It's really weird. You don't want to see the lower half of the screen right now. But Spags has been working his tail off to get the schedule lined out for the fall. And we have some fun things. I don't want to talk about them, but we have
It's so hot. It's on fire.
we have some fun things. You want to lead into it?
Yeah, well, let's just talk about it. First week of September. I know I'm a dove hunter, and when I realized that we scheduled this over the week of dove hunting, I'm so sorry, everybody, but it was the only week available that at the campground that we're using. And we were going to be at the same spot that we were at this past spring. It's going to be out there at Bloomington West Campground at Clinton Lake, which is just west of Lawrence and east of Topeka. So it's in that perfect little sweet spot on the I-70 corridor. So no matter where you're at, you can hit it. Again, we had people coming out from all over the country, Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, all sorts of people. We had Lindsay from Canada. We had Nicole and Dawn from
Tennessee.
From Tennessee. We had people from all over. We had some folks show up to this one that we've only met in Tennessee and Kentucky and those other events that are on the tour. So those are the dates. I think it's the 3rd through the 8th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
We'll open the gates again on Tuesday. Monday will be a staff day for us to set up the campground. And yeah, same place. That's the week. We're going to have classes Friday and we're going to have classes Saturday. I'm going to work on getting another special event for Thursday because that seemed to go over pretty good with My Honey's Kitchen doing their food demo.
Yes.
We're going to work with some stuff, with some people to get another special event on Thursday. And of course, children's events will be the entire time as well. Christy's going to have another lineup of cool things that for the kids to do. And yeah, the show is going to evolve. It's going to grow. It's going to continue to get better every time. We're hoping to continue to maintain that tempo of 400 plus people at the event. I'm not going to tip my hat yet to some of the classes we may be lining up, but let's just say that you won't want to miss them. We'll have some vendors out there again. We'll have lots of neat things going on. So just come out and put it on your calendar, man.
Can we talk about some of the topics, perhaps? If we can't give them any hints as to who, can we talk about the what? We know we're going to talk about potentially permaculture.
We're going to talk about potentially permaculture. There's going to potentially be some more female-centric classes. I won't get into too much on that because I'm still working on those details.
Okay.
It's going to be stuff that you're going to be able to come and walk away with some new areas of knowledge.
Fantastic. Well, so we had some like really cool things that were donated to the festival this year. Do you want to talk about the tent, Bobby? Let's start with the tent.
Let's start with the tent. We put out a blast on social media. We found a tent that we wanted to house the business side of Midwest Preparedness. So the way that the new campground is set up, for those of you who went, the business side is kind of up on a hill, but the campground kind of sprawls out around it near the lake. And so we needed something that was going to give us some weather temperance, something that was going to allow us to deal with wind and rain and all of that. So we found a giant circus tent and we wanted to purchase it. And the Midwest had about half of the money needed to purchase that tent. So we put out a blast. And oh my goodness, we had people come out of the woodwork donating money towards the tent. And so we put up a nice plaque for them. We built a banner to thank them all.
Yep.
But we had so many people donate. So we were able to get the tent. So now we have the tent. And then Chief, our security officer, has a small tent of his own that we were able to attach to the back end of that tent to have a green room for the speakers to be able to go get some water, some coffee, a beer if they needed it, a place to sit and relax and collect their thoughts prior to their classes. It gave us a staging area.
It's fantastic.
It was awesome. So to everybody who donated towards that tent, thank you so much for your contributions. Again, without the support of the people who come to this thing, it would just not be what it is. Patrick and I might do a lot of grunt work, and Kyle does some grunt work, and Todd and Christy do grunt work, and Chief does grunt work. Michael Stouss does grunt work. Dan does grunt work.
Yeah, the wives, all the wives.
Yes. But at the end of the day, this thing grows because of you. It's organic. This is not a top-down type of structure.
You guys are the Midwest Preparedness Project.
Yeah, this is your event. You've created it. So yeah, the tent. We got the tent. Kyle provided all the stage equipment. Todd provided all the sound equipment.
Oh, it worked flawlessly.
It worked awesome.
Yeah, we had some people jump in to donate. That they're going to donate some AV equipment for the fall.
Yep, we have some more stuff coming in. We had a few of the attendees came and gave us radios, so we actually had comms. Mark, I believe it was, gave us some radios.
Yeah. Mark Worley, thank you, Mark. You
Yep.
rock.
Yep, Mark and
you, buddy.
Michael Stouss donated the use of some radios, and
Yep.
Chief donated the use of some radios. So we actually had communications. It was just so much more organized this time.
Yep.
And then one of the coolest things that we came across was Scott Harrison from Harrison Shooter Supply, who's been one of our cornerstone sponsors since we really kind of incorporated this thing. He does laser engraving.
Thank you, Scott.
And so he made
I love you, bro.
Thank you, Scott.
He made us this license plate.
Check that out.
I don't know if you can see it with the glare.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go.
Midwest
There it is.
Preparedness. So it's a license plate, and so it's going to be in the studio now.
Laser engraved.
And then he only made one of these, and so I scooped it up. And
One of one.
it's an AR-15 magazine. I don't know how easy
Pull
to
it back.
get.
Yeah, Colt GI mag. There
Yes,
you go.
There you go, and it's got the logo there. And so now these items are on display here in the studio, along with his sticker.
Pete and Tina Peters, wherever you guys are, you're probably not in the audience today, but we love you guys. Thank you very much. So you see Mini Pete here is behind me. He's a weenie roaster. Pete makes these and sells them. Pete and Tina came down from Nebraska. He promised me that he has a female version of this. This is the male version. He's gonna bring us a female one in the fall, and we're gonna stick it over here. So thank you guys.
So yeah, so many cool things like that came out. The My Honey's Kitchen cookbook.
Oh yes,
came out of this particular festival, and there was some additions to it from there. And so we have those, and we gave out a couple of those, and I have some of those to give away in the fall as well. So to me, that's one of the coolest accumulative things that the festival is able to produce for its attendees. All of our sponsors, Provident Preparedness, Billy Bond from Perma Pastures, Matt Hames donated some books. JD Dutra and Southern Prepper One donated some of their books. And then My Honey's Kitchen, we give away a library every single time that we put these events.
Hey, Rosie, how you doing, babe?
And those libraries are an accumulative donation from all of these different sponsors that give us these books. And so Callie Blackwell,
Yes.
the 1 in a Billion boy.
Yeah, Boy in 1 billion.
Boy in 1 billion.
7 billion, excuse me.
Yeah, great book. And of course, she was there on she attended again. She came back to the festival.
Her beloved.
Her and Jesse, and we had a great time talking with them. And they are now going to be probably permanent attendees.
He rocked some fire
sticks and fireballs, and they've learned the magic of what Midwest
They
is.
set up the hydration station.
Oh yeah, they gave us the great drinking water. They supplied us.
Amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Kyle, talk about that. That's cool.
Okay, so they use a Kangen water system, and they brought it out and provided filtered negative ionized water for everybody and anybody who wanted to drink or partake, and they kept like 6 or 7 jugs
full of this water
for anybody who needed it. I was sold after the explanation that they gave, but I spent the back half of the week easily. Every time I refilled my water, I went to their station because I wanted to test it.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how fast I recovered, how good I actually felt, and everything. So highly recommend Kangen water systems, and I'll get one as soon as we can afford it.
Yeah, maybe what we should do is put a link to her, because she sells them. We can put that in the comments.
We definitely will. Yeah, we'll definitely link that in. We'll drop that in the comments after this live.
Yeah, but the hydration station that's where she was providing water for everybody on this hot week was
awesome.
Just so generous and amazing, and love Kelly.
So there was a really cool thing regarding that. So Jeremiah Bowles and his family, their son. So they have a special needs son. Yep. And they use a Kangen machine at home, and they couldn't bring it with them. Obviously, they weren't going to detach it and bring it with them. And when they got there and they saw that there was one set up, they were like, "What? This is crazy!
Yeah.
Heck yeah, fantastic!" And so all week they were able to supply themselves with Kangen water, and they just hit it off. They talked with Callie. So I mean, it really was Providence.
Yeah.
And how we worked out this spring.
And then Jesse did the fire dance on Friday.
Fire spinning, and he had the fire pole spear thing this time.
Oh, that was new, yeah.
Well,
that video's coming out.
That video's coming out. Callie and I and not Jesse, he was on stage. Callie and I I can't remember who was. There was another person there with us. It was nighttime on, I think, Friday night. And we were off to the side of the trailer that had been parked there, Kyle's trailer that we had as a secondary stage for things like this. And he's spinning this, and he looks over at me, and he winks, and he just throws the ball, and it comes whoosh right here.
Oh, yeah.
It pulls back, and I was like, whoa. It was
we have it on camera.
Yeah,
it was great.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you could hear it, and you could feel the heat and the wind off of it.
You could hear it. It was pretty badass.
Yeah. It was very badass.
But yeah, the whole reason I brought up that book was because while Callie was there, she was also signing the books for the people who won the books. So, and Billy signed the book that he sent us for the new book he has out that he sent to us. So it's a way to interact with people that you might only ever see on YouTube or you might only ever see online. When they have come to our event, because we're not so event heavy, they have time to actually intermingle with the crowd and just be another person.
You get to see celebrities like Rosie. You get to see celebrities like
Rosie,
like Skane's girl. Maybe one of these days you'll catch celebrities like Billy Bond, or maybe we'll get Danny and Wanda to come out one of these times. But Bobby, you want to talk a little bit about our vendors? Do you want to thank our vendors?
Yes, love the vendors. We had a whole bunch of vendors again. And again, we try to keep the vendor presence small because the last thing we want to do is turn Midwest into an expo, right? But our opinion is that when you come to Midwest, you should be able to leave with something in your hand.
Yep.
So you should be able to attend classes. You should
Something relative to preparedness.
Right. You should be able to eat good meals, and you should be able to shop a little bit with the people that donate all the stuff to us. And it's also how we tell these vendors who are our sponsors, thank you.
Yep.
So we had ammo vendors, we had optics vendors, we had freeze-dried food vendors, we had silver bullion and bullet vendor. We had all sorts of vendors out there. Will from Riverside was out there again, and he had tomahawks and how-to manuals and a lot of bushcraft stuff. And Angel Fire Ammunition was out.
Yep.
Scott Harrison was out.
My Honey's
Kitchen was out.
Yep.
We had Top Gun Precision came back from Missouri, and that was Ben. He showed back up, and he had a really
him
cool,
and his son,
and he had custom built rifles on display out there. It was so cool. So thank you to the vendors.
Angie at
Grumpy Acres was there. I know I'm probably missing some other ones. We had a food vendor for the
Boxcar Tasty Express. Yes, out of I can't think of the name off the top of my head where you guys are at, but they're based here in Kansas, local Vassar. I think they're in Vassar.
I think so. Yeah, I know that they do stuff. I think some of those smaller towns south of Lawrence.
Yep.
But their food was amazing. It was really good. They had cheese curds and they had Polish sausages, chicken fried steak sandwiches. It was really good food.
Dudes, we had funnel cake.
Fatty cakes.
Fatty cakes.
What kind of festival is complete without fatty cakes, right?
Yep. They were amazing.
So yes, thank you to all the vendors. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for taking time.
Yep.
We're not a huge event, so you probably don't make the same kind of money you do as you would if you went to a gun show or to a big prepper expo, but you still take time to come out and hang out with us, and for that we're very grateful.
You walk away with contacts.
You will walk away with contacts. There are business deals that are still cemented today that have taken place because of Midwest preparedness.
You betcha. EMP Shield is a company that's based in Burlington, Kansas. They manufacture Type 2 surge protection. That company started because Tim Carty, the founder, God rest his soul, came out to a camp out that Kevin McMillan invited him to. And so thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Tim. And thank you, EMP Shield, for graciously donating and sponsoring the camp out as well. But those types of things like that and relationships, I know there was at least a half dozen people out there I know have went and taken classes from fire defensive skills recently.
Easily.
I'm taking every one of
their shotgun, their intro to pistol and AR classes. Yeah. I know there was at least a half dozen people. Yeah. And then not only that, people who have went, hey, Pat, how you doing, babe? People that went to Scott's and purchased a firearm or a suppressor or something else.
Right.
The same reason.
Yeah, I know quite a few people who now go to Harrison Shooter Supply to buy firearms because they sponsor this event. So the relationships you will develop at Midwest are going to far outlive just the physical dates of the show. Right. You come to the show, you meet the people, you find the magic of that sense of commonality, and the next thing you know, 6 months later, you're still shopping with the same people, or they're providing a service to you. And look, this is how we take America back this way. This is what we do to create not the buzzword, not the cool word that everybody is saying on YouTube, but actual communities where people spend their money with each other. Everyone has a common vested interest in watching their neighbor be successful, not just themselves. And that's, I think, how, again, we take this country back.
Rising tide.
Yep.
Rising tide.
Yep, it does. All ships rise with the tide, my brother. And I'm grateful to be in a boat with you guys. Thank you very much. You are my brothers from another mother. Hey, Tara. Thank you for helping us and supporting us, Tara. Thank you to the wives. You guys rock.
Wives rock.
Wives rock.
So
that's a T-shirt.
It should be. It is a T-shirt. I'm sure somebody has one. So we covered today the Spring Festival. We talked about different types of preparedness. We talked about Kyle's Corner and recapping. We talked about what's coming up in the fall. And Bobby, do you have any wisdom, any closing parts for us?
Yes. Don't be scared. The prepping community, unfortunately, is run on fear. It's the fear of the unknown, the fear of what if, the fear of worst case scenario. But what I will tell you is that when you learn to live in hope and when you learn to live in faith and not fear, your life will be much better. Mm-hmm. You won't lose nearly as much sleep. You won't get the ulcers.
Anxiety.
You won't have the anxiety. When you learn to live in the moment in a sense of positivity and view prepping as more of an insurance policy instead of a end of the world thing,
Namaste.
you will be in a much better place.
Amen, brother. Kyle, would you like to share any wisdom with our fellows?
Just to piggyback on what Bobby just said, just find hope, and and like I was saying in my segment, I guess that look for those places where you can find efficiencies and build better systems for yourself. You don't have to live with where you are. You can always look for opportunities to improve.
Amen, brother. And you guys, I am convinced in the presence of providence over coincidence,
Yes.
and that we all drift in and out of each other's lives exactly when we were meant to. So in closing, we all die. Life is a game that nobody makes it out of alive. Every single one of us is guaranteed to die at some point in time. But I guess the question you have to ask yourself is, have you truly ever lived? And on that, thank you guys. We appreciate you guys. We will catch you guys at the next one. We're going to start doing this pretty regularly. I think Bobby has us cracking the whip. He's our slave driver in general, driving the schedule. So we're going to start doing this
Once a month. Look, we all love our YouTube time, but we're also all real people that have real lives and have real jobs. We're not going to try to command so much of your time on social media. Social media should be your entertainment. It should be the extra at the end of the day instead of something you have to tune into every single week or every single day or every single moment. So we're going to come at you at least once a month with a episode like this. We're probably going to turn it into a podcast as well. And that way you can get it when you want. You can watch it at your leisure, and you don't feel like you miss something if you miss one day out of 7 in a week. So So pay attention. You can find us on Facebook, find us on Discord, find us on MeWe, find us on Freesteading, find us on YouTube. We're on all the social medias, and we put out stuff constantly in advance to let you know when we're going to be. And we'll probably put out a schedule of when we're going to do these lives. If you want to, take some time out in the middle of your day over lunch to watch us, you can.
The calendar will be posted on our website. It'll be posted on our social media.
MidwestPreparednessProject.com.
Yep. Nowhere Homesteady. If you guys have not checked it out, go to Nowhere Homesteady on YouTube. Like and subscribe there to our man in the chair, Kyle. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. So again, in closing, thank you guys. We appreciate you. We love you guys. We will catch you on the flip side. And Patrick Henry out.
See you guys.
See you, everybody. Thank you, guys.